Sometimes in life, people leave us, and it's hard, it's confusing, it's painful, and it's frustrating. But let me tell you something powerful. When God removes someone from your life, it's not rejection, it's protection. You may not see it right now, but God's hand is moving in your life, and He knows what's best for you. You've got to trust that God's plan is greater than what you can see or understand. When someone leaves your life, it feels like the ground beneath you is shaking. But God never allows something to happen without a purpose. He is orchestrating your journey, even in moments that feel uncertain and painful. He knows what's ahead, and His plan is always for your good. Sometimes we hold on because we think we know what's best. We try to manipulate the situation, thinking we can fix it. But the truth is, you can't outplan God. His perspective is eternal, and He sees dangers, pitfalls, and opportunities that you cannot. You have to surrender your need for control and lean into His wisdom. It hurts when someone you care about walks away, but pain isn't always a bad thing. Pain has a way of sharpening your focus and opening your eyes to what truly matters. It forces you to stop and reflect, to question where you're placing your trust. In those moments of pain, God is teaching you to lean on Him. Faith isn't about understanding everything. It's about trusting God when you don't understand anything. You may feel lost right now, but you're not abandoned. God is with you every step of the way, guiding you through the storm. Trust isn't passive, it's active. It's choosing to believe that God is working even when it doesn't feel like it. Letting go is one of the hardest acts of faith. It requires you to release your grip on what you think you need and allow God to provide what's truly meant for you. It's in the letting go that you grow closer to Him. He's not asking you to let go because He wants to hurt you. He's asking you to let go so He can bless you. When God removes someone, it's a call to refocus your life. He wants you to see Him as your source, not people. People are flawed, they disappoint, they leave, they change. But God is unchanging, and His love for you never fails. Let this be a moment where you shift your dependency from man to the Creator. Trust isn't something that comes naturally, it's something you develop. As you let go, you'll start to see the patterns of God's faithfulness. You'll look back and realize that the very thing you thought was breaking you was shaping you into the person He's called you to be. Rejection feels personal. It feels like you weren't good enough or like you did something wrong. But rejection isn't about your worth. It's about alignment. When someone rejects you, it's God's way of redirecting you toward the people and opportunities that match His plan for your life. We often cling to comfortable relationships, even when they no longer serve our growth. God sees this, and sometimes He allows rejection to push you out of your comfort zone. That rejection is a nudge to move forward, to stop settling for less than His best. It's not the end, it's the beginning of something new. Think about the times you prayed for something better. You asked God to open doors and bring you peace. Well, rejection is often the answer to those prayers. It doesn't feel like it at the moment, but God is closing the chapter so He can write a better one. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you can embrace what's ahead. Rejection can save you from settling. Imagine if every door opened for you, even the ones that led to dead ends. God's rejection is protection. It's His way of saying you're worth more than this. I have something better for you. Trust that He's setting you up for success, not failure. When someone rejects you, it forces you to look inward. It's a moment of reflection, a chance to ask yourself if you're chasing the right things. Sometimes we seek validation from people who were never meant to validate us. God uses rejection to remind you that your worth comes from Him, not from others. Rejection isn't just about relationships, it's about purpose. That job you didn't get, that opportunity that fell through, it's all part of God's plan to redirect you to something greater. He's moving you toward what's meant for you, even if it doesn't make sense right now. The beauty of rejection is that it clears the path. It removes distractions and frees you to focus on what truly matters. It's not about losing something, it's about gaining clarity. When you embrace rejection as redirection, you'll see it as a gift, not a curse. When God removes someone from your life, it's a signal that their role in your story is over. But so many of us chase after what God has already released. We beg, plead, and try to piece back together what's been broken, but in doing so, we ignore the wisdom of His plan. Chasing after someone who has left isn't just exhausting, it's a distraction from where God is trying to take you. You've got to ask yourself, why are you chasing someone who has shown you they don't want to stay? Holding on to what God has removed is like trying to drive forward while staring at the rearview mirror. You can't move into the future He has planned for you if your focus is stuck on the past. Letting go is hard, but staying stuck in what's not meant for you is even harder in the long run. God releases people from your life to protect you from relationships that no longer serve your growth or align with your purpose. That doesn't mean the person is bad, but it does mean the chapter in your life is finished. When you resist letting them go, you resist the blessings God wants to pour into your life. You can't grab hold of His promises while your hands are full of the past. When someone walks out of your life, it's not your job to chase them. It's your job to trust God and stay in alignment with His will. Chasing someone who has been removed is like trying to walk upstream in a river. It's tiring and it takes you nowhere. Let God handle the people He's meant to remove. People will show you who they are through their actions. When someone leaves, they're making a statement about their role in your life. Don't ignore that statement just because it's uncomfortable. God knows what's best for you, and when He takes someone out of your life, it's for your benefit, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. We have to stop romanticizing what's already gone. Sometimes we hold on because of the good memories, but memories aren't enough to sustain a healthy relationship. God is not sentimental about your comfort zone. He is focused on your growth and your destiny. That's why He removes people even when it feels painful. Letting go is an act of faith. It's a declaration that you trust God more than you trust your emotions. It's saying, God, I don't understand why this person left, but I know You do. I trust that You're guiding me towards something greater. Stop chasing what's behind you and start focusing on the path ahead. When you start growing, not everyone will celebrate with you. Growth is uncomfortable, not just for you, but for the people around you. Some people are so used to the old version of you that they can't handle the person you're becoming. God knows this, and that's why He removes those who can't align with your growth. It's a hard truth to accept, but some relationships are built on stagnation. People are comfortable with you as long as you stay in the same place, doing the same things. The moment you start reaching for more, stepping into your purpose, and chasing your dreams, their comfort gets disrupted. They might even try to pull you back to the version of yourself they're used to. Your growth isn't for everyone. God has a unique plan for your life, and not everyone is equipped to walk that path with you. When He removes someone, it's because He knows they can't go where He's taking you. Their energy, their mindset, or their actions might become a hindrance to your purpose. God doesn't want you to be weighed down as you rise. Sometimes people will resent your growth because it highlights their stagnation. They'll project their fears, insecurities, and doubts onto you because your progress reminds them of what they're not doing. That's not your fault. But it's also not your responsibility to carry them. God knows this, and that's why He steps in and creates distance. When you're growing, you need people who will support and encourage you, not those who will hold you back. God removes people to make space for others who align with your purpose. It's not rejection, it's refinement. He's pruning your relationships so that only the strongest, healthiest ones remain. Growth requires sacrifice. You can't hold on to everything and everyone while moving forward. Some relationships will fall away, and that's okay. It's not a reflection of your worth or theirs. It's a reflection of the season God is calling you into. Growth means stepping into the unknown and trusting that God will provide the right people along the way. The people who are meant to stay in your life will grow with you. They'll celebrate your victories, encourage your progress, and adapt to the changes God is making in you. Those are the relationships worth holding on to. But for those who can't handle your growth, let them go. It's not personal, it's purpose. When God removes someone from your life, he's not trying to leave you empty-handed. He's making room for something better, something greater than you can imagine. But too often we focus on what we've lost instead of preparing for what's to come. God never takes away without a plan to replenish. The question is, will you trust him enough to wait for his replacement? We tend to hold on to what's familiar, even when it's no longer serving us. Familiarity feels safe, but safety isn't always what God has in store for you. Sometimes he shakes up your world to move you into a new season. That removal is a divine intervention, a way of clearing out what no longer fits so you can receive something tailor-made for you. You've got to understand that holding on to the past limits your capacity for the future. Picture a glass already full of water. There's no room to pour in anything new. When God removes someone, he's emptying your glass so he can fill it with something better. Don't resent the emptying process. It's necessary for your growth. God's blessings require preparation. When he removes someone, it's not just about the other person, it's about you too. He's working on your heart, your mind, and your spirit to get you ready for the blessings he's about to pour into your life. If you're too focused on who left, you'll miss the preparation process and you'll miss the blessing. Sometimes the people in your life are like scaffolding. They're there to support you during a particular season. But once that part of your life is built, the scaffolding has to come down. God knows who is meant to stay and who was only there for a season. Trust him to decide who belongs in your life long term. When God removes someone, he's not just protecting you, he's positioning you. You may not see it right now, but he's aligning everything in your life to work for your good. That removal is a step in the process, a step toward the life he's been preparing for you all along. Don't fill the space with just anything or anyone. Wait for what God has planned. The temptation to settle is strong, but settling isn't God's best for you. When you let go and trust his timing, you'll look back and realize that what he brought into your life was far greater than anything you could have held on to. Elevation requires separation. When God is calling you higher, he often has to remove people who can't handle the altitude. Not everyone is equipped to go where you're going, and that's okay. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means their role in your journey is complete. Think about an airplane. As it ascends, it sheds unnecessary weight to maintain balance. Your life works the same way. As you rise into the purpose God has for you, he'll remove the weight of relationships that no longer serve you. It's not a punishment, it's preparation for where he's taking you. Separation is uncomfortable, but comfort zones don't produce growth. God isn't interested in your comfort, he's interested in your transformation. The higher he calls you, the more focused you need to be. Distractions, toxic relationships, and mismatched energies have to go, even if it's painful at the moment. Not everyone can handle your success. As you elevate, some people will reveal their true colors. Jealousy, insecurity, or resentment might start to surface. God removes these people to protect your peace and keep you focused on his plan. Elevation comes with challenges, and you can't afford to carry unnecessary baggage. The people meant to walk with you will rise with you. They'll encourage you, challenge you, and celebrate your growth. But the ones who resist your elevation, those are the people God will separate from you. It's not your job to fight that separation. It's your job to trust that God knows what's best. Separation isn't just about others. It's about you too. God removes people to refine you, to teach you to rely on him, and to strengthen your character. Elevation requires sacrifice, and sometimes that sacrifice is letting go of relationships you thought would last forever. When God calls you higher, don't apologize for your elevation. Don't shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Accept the separation as part of the process and trust that God is aligning you with people who can handle your growth and contribute to your journey. Letting go isn't about weakness. It's about trusting God with what you can't control. When He removes someone, He's asking you to trust that He knows what He's doing. You may not understand it, and it may hurt deeply, but trust isn't about having all the answers. It's about believing in one who does. When you cling to people God has removed, you're telling Him you don't trust His plan. That's not easy to hear, but it's the truth. Letting go is a statement of faith, a declaration that you believe God's vision for your life is bigger than your limited perspective. It's about surrendering your will for His. Trust doesn't mean you won't feel the pain of loss. It doesn't mean you won't have questions or moments of doubt. Trust means you lean into God despite the hurt, the confusion, despite the unanswered prayers. It means saying, God, I don't get it, but I trust you do. God's timing is always perfect, even when it doesn't match your own. He knows when to bring people into your life, and He knows when to take them out. Trusting Him means believing that every removal is for a purpose, even if you can't see it yet. It means understanding that His ways are higher than yours. Letting go doesn't erase the memories or the lessons learned. It simply frees you to move forward. God is asking you to trust that what lies ahead is far greater than what you've left behind. Clinging to the past only delays your progress and limits your blessings. Sometimes trust looks like silence. It's choosing not to argue, not to force things, not to chase after what's already gone. It's choosing to rest in the assurance that God is working everything out for your good. That kind of trust isn't passive, it's powerful. It's faith in action. When you let go, you're making room for God to do what He can do. You're saying, God, I trust you to heal the gaps, to heal the hurt, and to guide me to what's next. Letting go isn't easy, but it's necessary for the blessings He has in store for you. Sometimes God removes people from your life not because they're bad, but because they're not good for you. He sees the things you don't see, hears the conversations you're not part of, and knows the intentions behind every action. When He removes someone, it's often a form of protection, even if it doesn't feel like it. You might feel betrayed or blindsided when someone leaves, but trust that God is shielding you from harm you may not even be aware of. He sees the bigger picture, the potential pitfalls, and the toxic influences that could derail your purpose. His removal is His way of safeguarding your destiny. God doesn't want you in relationships that drain you, misuse you, or block your growth. He's a God of love, and love doesn't leave you depleted. When He removes someone, it's because He knows their presence will hinder the blessings He wants to give you. His protection is always for your good. We often fight against God's protection because we're too focused on what we think we need. But God doesn't make mistakes. He knows what and who belongs in your life. When He removes someone, it's a sign that He's got something or someone better in store. Trust that His plans are always greater than your desires. It's not just about protecting you from harm, it's about preparing you for purpose. The people God removes might not align with the calling He's placed on your life. Their influence, energy, or actions could create obstacles you're not equipped to handle. Trust His removal as part of His plan to position you for success. God's protection often doesn't feel like protection in the moment. It can feel like rejection, pain, or confusion. But hindsight will show you that His hand was guiding you all along. He removes people to protect your peace, your joy, and your destiny. His protection is never punitive, it's purposeful. When God removes someone, don't fight to bring them back. Don't try to read the script or resist His will. Accept His protection as an act of love, even if it's hard to see it that way right now. Trust that He's working behind the scenes to ensure you're safe, secure, and aligned with His purpose. Growth is one of God's greatest intentions for your life, but it requires space to happen. When he removes someone, it's often because their presence is crowding the space needed for your personal or spiritual development. He knows that some relationships, no matter how meaningful they once were, can hinder your growth if they overstay their purpose. Growth happens when you're stretched, challenged, and sometimes left alone to reflect. The removal of someone significant in your life creates a void that you are meant to fill, not with another person, but with a stronger version of yourself. God uses that space to teach you lessons, build your resilience, and deepen your dependence on him. When a gardener tends to a tree, they prune away the branches that are no longer bearing fruit. It's not to harm the tree, it's to help it thrive. The same is true for your life. God prunes away relationships that no longer serve your growth, even if the process feels painful. People who aren't aligned with your growth will often resist your efforts to change. They'll pull you back into old habits, old mindsets, or old ways of thinking. God removes them so you can break free from the cycles that are keeping you stagnant. His goal is always to push you forward, not keep you stuck. The pain of removal is often the catalyst for transformation. When someone leaves, it forces you to evaluate your life, your priorities, and your direction. It's in these moments of loss that you discover your strength, your purpose, and your ability to grow beyond what you thought possible. Growth isn't just about adding new things to your life. It's also about subtracting what no longer belongs. God knows what's weighing you down, even if you can't see it yourself. His removal is his way of lightening your load so you can rise to the level he's calling you to. Don't fear the emptiness that comes with growth. It's part of the process. That space is where God plants new seeds, nurtures new opportunities, and develops the character you'll need for the next chapter of your life. Trust him to use the space for your good. God doesn't want you to depend on people more than you depend on him. Sometimes he removes someone from your life to remind you where your true source of strength lies. It's not in people, relationships, or external validation. It's in him. His removal is his way of drawing you closer to himself. When you lean too heavily on someone, you risk making them an idol in your life. God doesn't share his glory, and he doesn't want anyone or anything to take his place in your heart. By removing someone, he's allowing you to refocus your trust and reliance on him alone. Independence doesn't mean isolation. It means knowing that you can stand strong with God by your side. It means understanding that people may come and go, but God's presence is constant. His removal is a lesson in resilience, teaching you to rely on him even when it feels like you're standing alone. God uses seasons of solitude to build your character. When someone leaves, it forces you to confront your fears, doubts, and insecurities. It's in these moments of struggle that God shapes you into the person he's called you to be. The removal isn't a setback, it's a setup for your growth. People can only give you so much. Their love, support, and encouragement are limited by their humanity. But God's provision is limitless. When he removes someone, it's a reminder that no human relationship can replace the fullness of his presence in your life. Being independent in God doesn't mean you don't need community or relationships. It means you understand that your foundation is unshakable because it's built on him. His removal is his way of reinforcing that foundation, ensuring that your life is anchored in something eternal, not temporary. When God removes someone, it's not to leave you lonely, it's to strengthen your connection to him. He's calling you to a higher level of faith, a deeper level of trust, and a stronger sense of independence rooted in his power. Trust the process and embrace the strength he's building within you. When God removes someone from your life, it's often because he's trying to give you clarity. It's hard to see the full picture when you're surrounded by noise, distractions, or conflicting energies. Separation creates the stillness needed for you to hear his voice clearly and understand his direction for your life. Clarity doesn't come when you're holding on to people who cloud your vision. God knows the relationships that confuse you, make you question your worth, or distract you from your purpose. He removes those people so you can see yourself, your potential, and his plans for you without interference. Sometimes the people God removes were never meant to stay as long as they did. Their presence might have served a purpose for a season, but seasons change, and so do the roles people play in your life. Letting them go is part of embracing the clarity God is offering. God can't show you what's ahead if you're too busy looking back. Separation forces you to stop leaning on what's familiar and start seeking his guidance. It's in the absence of certain people that you find the presence of his wisdom, his peace, and his direction for the next step. Clarity comes when you stop chasing answers and start trusting God's process. The removal of someone may feel like a mystery at first, but in time, you'll see how their departure was necessary for your understanding. God doesn't remove without reason, and his reason always leads to revelation. When God removes someone, it's his way of clearing the path. He's making room for better opportunities, healthier relationships, and deeper spiritual growth. Clarity isn't just about knowing what to do next. It's about knowing who you are and who you are. His removal aligns your life with his truth. The clearer your vision, the stronger your decisions. God's separation is his way of refining your focus, sharpening your discernment, and equipping you to make choices that honor him. The clarity you gain will illuminate the path forward, showing you what's worth pursuing and what's worth leaving behind. God's plans for your life are far greater than any human relationship. When he removes someone, it's because he's prioritizing his purpose for you over your attachment to them. His vision isn't limited by your emotions or desires. It's guided by his infinite wisdom and love for you. Attachments can become chains if they're not aligned with God's will. You might feel bound to someone out of loyalty, history, or fear of being alone, but God sees the bigger picture. He knows when an attachment is holding you back, and his removal is his way of breaking those chains. God's plans are always forward moving. He doesn't take something away without preparing something better. That better might not come in the form you expect, but it will always align with his purpose for your life. Trusting his removal means trusting that his plans are worth more than temporary comfort. Human attachments are often based on feelings, but God operates on purpose. He knows when a relationship has reached the end of its purpose in your life, and he removes it to make room for what's next. Holding on to something past its time only delays the blessings he has for you. It's natural to grieve the loss of a relationship, but don't let grief turn into resistance. God's plans require your cooperation. When he removes someone, it's an invitation to step into a new season of faith, growth, and purpose. Resistance only prolongs the process and increases the pain. God isn't asking you to forget the people he's removed. He's asking you to release them. Release the anger, the questions, and the what ifs. When you let go, you're free to embrace his plans fully. His removal isn't about loss. It's about aligning your life with his divine will. The plans God has for you are greater than any attachment you formed. His removal isn't rejection, it's redirection. It's his way of guiding you toward the people, opportunities, and experiences that will help you fulfill your purpose. Trust him to lead you where you're meant to be. So when God removes someone from your life, let him go. Don't question his plan. Don't doubt his intentions, and don't fight the process. Trust that he's got something better ahead for you. Remember, every loss you feel is a setup for the victory that's coming. Let him go and watch God work wonders in your life.